Hey guys, and I'm back again here to bring you some of this breakdown for the Eternal trailers. You know, I said I was going to do it simply because I needed to jump in on this. I gave you guys the, all clear for Spider-Man and told you, yeah, I can't believe I left out on this. I've just been busy at work. So let's jump into this really quickly. We basically got the Eternals coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe on November 5th, which is an amazing thing. If you don't know anything about the Eternals, I suggest you pick up Neil Gaiman's work from, I can't remember when he did that work. It was probably around 2010 or something like that. Could have been earlier. But basically, the Eternals were created by Jack Kirby. When he came back to the Marvel Comics, he had a little stint inside DC, few stints inside DC, and he created the New Gods there. And if you don't know who the New Gods are, if you watch Man of Steel and you watch the Justice League movie, you got to see one of them, right? It was Darkseid. And there's a whole creation mythology around the New Gods, Darkseid, Highfather, Orion, the Sun, Steppenwolf, and all these characters. And basically, that series was cut short inside the DC universe. Jack Kirby comes back over to Marvel, and he creates the Eternals, almost feeling to me like a pickup of that story where he wanted to have these gods created inside this world. Now, the trailer is going to show you something a little bit different, but to give you a little heads up, the Eternals aren't actually aliens inside the comic books. They're humans. They are Terrans. They were basically biological experiments by the Celestials. We saw the Celestials inside Guardians of the Galaxy with the Celestial head that represented nowhere. And we also got like some kind of inclination that the Celestial, like Ego, was a Celestial, but I don't really feel that one. So but yeah, let's jump into this trailer real quick, guys. All right. Ooh-wee. Salma Hayek pulling up on a horse.
5 years ago, Thanos erased half of the population of the universe. But the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a finger.
So that's important, right? So it immediately addresses the situation of Thanos, and we get later on in the trailer why that, you know, they didn't do anything in the trailer. But it's important to note that, you know, this is an event that's picking up after the events of the snap. It's not happened before, and it's not happening during.
The sudden return of the population provided the necessary energy for the emergence to begin.
So, and there you have it, right? We got basically the consequences of this snap of bringing everybody back. You know, there's never going to be the situation inside these movies where the events of the cinematic universe and the stories previous didn't have an effect going on forward. And we can see right here, this is one of the effects, you know, and we knew that it was going to go planetary scale even after Thanos. Thanos was damn near universal, but it focused mostly here on Earth. But we see that this is planetary, interplanetary, you know, scale of events that is happening. So we can kind of see where we're going, right? It's a lot more that's happening inside the stories where they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until they probably fizzle out somewhere down the road. But we're living in exciting times because now we have this emergence event happening. What is the emergence? The emergence is basically judgment. It's Judgment Day. We've gotten enough energy that we can now be judged by the Celestials once again. So let's see more.
How long do we have?
7 days.
We're Eternals.
So we got Ajax sitting over here. She's Salma Hayek's character. In the comic books, Ajax is actually a black male, I believe. So there's some variation on what they chose to do with some of the characters. Some of the choices just pissed me off a little bit, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and I don't want to get into that, but Salma Hayek's fine as hell. I'm perfectly happy with Salma Hayek to represent Ajax. We basically see that there's a consortium of the Eternals here. You know, basically Ajax has the ability to communicate with the Celestials, so that's the reason why he is technically the leader at the time.
We came here 7,000 years ago.
And that's your first indication of the differences between the comics, is they're making the Celestials alien and they're not genetic experimentation. This pisses me off a little bit, mostly because I'm like watching, I'm like, the Eternals for me were the reasons that we end up with the Inhumans and the mutants. So to kind of omit that, I wonder how they're going to introduce, but this would have been a perfect introduction, you know, because of the experiments that the Celestial did in order to get the Inhumans and stuff like that, the Deviants and the Eternals. We kind of end up with that proliferation down the line where we end up with the Inhuman and the mutant population as well.
To protect humans from the deviants.
Why didn't you guys help fight Thanos? Or any war, all the other terrible things throughout history?
So what you have there is Kit Harington's character, the Black Knight, talking to Cersei and asking her why she didn't help. And she basically exposes to him that they were only told to help by if they were to confront other deviants. In that regard, they immediately remove Thanos from being an eternal deviant hybrid like he is in the comic books. This actually does play out in the comic books where Thanos is actually that he's an eternal deviant. At some point in the history after they were created, there was a war between the Eternals on whether or not they should be, you know, rulers, conquerors, or whether they should just, you know, watch and observance. And the losers basically left. They went to places like Saturn and Titan, and then they proliferated the populations there. And Thanos was the offshoot of one of those populations. So it's, yeah, it's different now, right?
We were instructed not to interfere in any human conflicts unless deviants are involved.
By who?
You cannot get any better than this. This is Arishem the Judge, and oh my fucking god, this is really great CGI. It's really great rendition of what I would expect Arishem the Judge to look like. Bar none, badass hell. Just, yeah.
We need to find the others.
I haven't seen some of them for centuries.
So now we're getting introduced to a few other Eternals. You got Kingo, Sprite, Richard Maddens, Icarus, Gemma Chan, Cersei. You're gonna have you even seen Phastos being caressed by Ajax character. There's Druig was one of the characters that just appeared. There's going to be quite a few Eternals. I don't know how they're going to fit all these characters into this, you know, 2-hour movie. I'm looking forward to it though.
Hi.
Hello.
Angelina
This is what
Jolie.
the end of the world looks like. At least we have front row seats.
You know what's never saved the planet? Your sarcasm.
Makari.
We have loved these people since the day.
So let me go back here just a second, because you get a good look at the majority of the Eternals, though I think there's some of them that's not in this full view shot. But I love the costume designs. I think the costume designs definitely look otherworldly and high technology, I guess is the best way to say it, even though they're pretty plain and simple. But the design on them, the conceptual design on them is pretty awesome to me. Not to mention, if you play Marvel Future Fight, you can kind of see where they plan on going with Icarus and Cersei at some point for the uniforms that we'll probably end up getting in November with them.
The day we arrived. When you love something, you protect it.
So there you can see, like I said, the Eternals, by and large, they have somewhat of the same base layer power, super strength, things like that, but they all deviate in their powers just a little bit. You know, like some of them have transmutation, some of them are speed. You've got Icarus's character who's basically Superman-esque. So we're going to be able to see a lot in this movie in terms of that. It's going to be pretty cool. This scene was awesome because as soon as I saw this scene right here, immediately I got Source Wall vibes. If you are a fan of DC Comics, hey, be a fan of DC and Marvel Comics and stop this debate over which one's better. Be fucking happy that we're getting DC movies and Marvel movies. I don't care who's making the most money. I don't care anything. The product is the product, and you know, you can go to the movies and enjoy these fucking movies. So, but the Source Wall is a it's a device mechanism inside the DC universe. Basically, Darkseid wants his anti-life equation, and that's where the Source Wall comes into effect. And I immediately get Source Wall vibes from this this section right here.
You can't protect any of them.
So this is an interesting scene because you have the leader of the Deviants. So we get confirmed that Crow is going to be inside this, and here he is, you know, fondling Angelina Jolie as the Angelina Jolie. Can we all admit that she has a beautiful face? She is just, it's, yeah, whatever. So there you guys have it, right? We basically have the Eternals coming out November 5th. We got Spider-Man December 17th. We've got Shang-Chi coming out September. And by the way, we've got Dune coming out as well. I haven't done a review of that on here because, you know, this is for Marvel kind of stuff that's going on. But hey, this is going to be an exciting second half of the year for us in terms of Marvel cinematic movies. I'm looking forward to it. One of the things I want to spotlight to you guys at the end of these cinematic reviews, I want to bring it back to the games as well, right? So when we look at some of the games that we basically have on the table, we've got Marvel Avengers, we got Marvel Future Fight, and we got Marvel Future Revolution. Those are the games I play, and those are the games I'm going to try to bring you guys content for. And so looking at the Eternals movie, looking at Spider-Man movie, I can almost guarantee you that we will get content for the Eternals. We will get content for Spider-Man inside of Marvel Future Fight. Marvel Future Fight has had a long history of tying in movies, television shows, and things like, and events from the Marvel universe into their game, and we seem to always get that. Like, so for instance, earlier this year, when they dropped the first Eternals trailer, I believe that we got Icarus and Cersei as introduced characters in their original uniforms. I can almost guarantee that we're going to probably get updated uniforms for those two characters, and probably the introduction of more Eternal characters inside the game. I'm looking forward to it. I can guarantee you that Spider-Man is probably going to have a different look, a different uniform. We've already seen, you know, leak drops of, you know, Spider-Man in a Mystic level uniform. That's kind of imbued by Doctor Strange, which I feel like is going to play out in a weird way. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that plays out. There were some little things inside the Spider-Man trailer that I didn't say. I'm going to wait for more trailers to drop and to see how they play out. But I'll save those thoughts for another time for the Spider-Man trailer. But let's keep talking about the Eternals. Now, when we look at games like Marvel's Avengers, if you are a Spider-Man lover, you might want to take a look at Marvel's Avengers, because it's almost guaranteed that we're going to get a drop for Spider-Man sometime December or shortly thereafter for that game. They just released the Black Panther War for Wakanda update. I'm pretty positive we're going to get something like that, but it's going to be exclusive to PlayStation 5. And like I said to you guys, at the end of that, you saw the PlayStation 5 advert for the console controllers and stuff like that. I'm still on the hunt for one. I'm going to get fucking a PlayStation 5. You watch and see. And I have to go through the whole process of leveling up my goddamn characters all over again. Now, let's talk about Marvel Future Revolution, which is the content that's doing the best on my channel. I don't see these characters dropping inside this game anytime soon. We have no inclination in the current storyline that the Eternals will possibly show up there. We don't have any character models or anything like that. No leaks about those. I don't feel like we're going to see the Eternals quite yet inside the Marvel Future Revolution game. We know we've got Spider-Man in there. Could we possibly see other characters like Falcon and Winter Soldier? Yes. I think that a lot of the games need to pick up on. Marvel Future Fight has done a really great job with introducing characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universes and stuff like that, and having tie-ins, but they've done a pretty shit job, you know, not marketing the game with those and tie-ins to those events. I will say, like, Marvel games and Netmarble haven't done the best in hand. I really feel like that would be a key selling point for Marvel Future Revolution if we did get these characters tie-ins and stuff like that. Like for Marvel Future Revolution, could we see costumes for Spider-Man possibly dropping, I feel like that's probably in the realm of possibility. Although let me be perfectly honest, there's no reason why we couldn't get the Eternals inside the game. I just don't feel like that's where we're gonna be. Not before we get other characters like playable Thor, playable Hulk, and some of these other characters. But hey, we could roll into tomorrow and they could surprise the shit out of us and give me a Thor, and then I'd be pissed off for all the fucking resources I spent. But I'm really looking forward to Eternals. Like I said, guys, check out Neil Gaiman's run on his 6-part series that he did for the Eternals. Take a look at that, read it back if you want to bone up on your knowledge on the Eternals. I think they're a really good, interesting read. I think they're probably one of the most underrated teams inside the Marvel universe, and I feel like there's a lot that can be done with those characters. Obviously Jack Kirby didn't flesh them out as much as possible, and some other writers picked them up, but it's one of those stories that I always enjoy when I think back, whether I read it in trade paperback or the 6-part series. So take a look at those, guys. I hope you enjoyed this series. I hope you enjoy my reviews for these. I might even drop a review for Dune, because that's one of my most beloved series. I just didn't feel like it was a place here on this channel, since I'm trying to make it all about all things Marvel. I will, that's what I'm mainly trying to do with this channel, guys, and I appreciate your support. I appreciate the subscribers that have already subscribed. I appreciate the views. I hope that some of you guys that are viewing choose to drop a subscribe on there. I plan on bringing you guys Marvel Future Revolution content, Marvel Avengers content, Marvel Future Fight content as much as possible as I can, and I hope you guys join me on those rides, because I'm just sharing all things that I love about comic books in general, and especially about Marvel on this channel. So remember, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the comments below. Until next time, guys, peace.